The national gun amnesty period winding down, the role of unions in the country questioned, and the 2011 Junkanoo champions preparing for another victory.
Newsnight 13 at 6:30 starts now.
Good evening all, I'm Shashina Roll and welcome to Newsnight 13 for this Wednesday, November 2nd, 2011. It is good as always to have you with us. Topping news, it is an effort by the government to help stem the tide of crime in the country. The national gun amnesty period, which took effect in early October, is winding down, and tonight Sabrina Brown talks with a police official about the response here on Grand Bahama.
The gun amnesty was implemented to allow persons with illegal firearms to turn them over to the police without being questioned. The 30-day grace period comes to an end on November 3rd, and with just a few hours before the deadline, Police Press Liaison Officer Assistant Superintendent Clarence Reckley says 5 firearms have been turned in on Grand Bahama, 1 rifle, 4 handguns, and 164 rounds of ammunition. But ASP Reckley believes that there are many more illegal firearms on the streets.
There was a firearm arrest yesterday, and the young person who was arrested was not on his way to turn that weapon in. So we do believe there are more weapons out there, and we advise those persons who possess those weapons they have another couple hours to turn those weapons in. Other than that, once they're caught, they'll be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Now, the amnesty does not apply to anyone who is found in possession of an illegal firearm. According to ASP Reckley, some of the persons who took advantage of the amnesty period so far were assisted by members of the community.
The weapons that were turned in by a cross-sector of the community. There was one that was turned in by a pastor, one was a business person, and the others are just everyday citizens who brought in those few that turned in.
Now, although the Ministry of National Security has declared the 30-day program an amnesty period, ASP Reckley says the weapons collected will be investigated.
If it is found that the weapon is used in some crime, then we will have to follow with how the investigations would have been led. The person who turned it in might not have been the person who was responsible for committing the crime. But as I say, that calls for more investigations.
Following the November 3rd deadline, anyone found in possession of an unlicensed firearm will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law and could face up to 7 years in prison. Sabrina Brown, ZNS News.
Tonight's Facebook story of the night is brought to you by Sky Bahamas.
Now that was a look at our Facebook story of the night. The question is, do you think the amount of guns collected so far is a fair indication of the number of illegal firearms on our streets? We welcome your feedback. In other news, members of the Bahamas General Insurance Association are preparing to make their position known to the relevant authorities. Before the new Road Traffic Amendment Act comes into force, the act eliminates the need for the presence of police officers and a police report for minor traffic accidents. The act also abolishes the Road Act and requires all motorists to have at least third-party coverage. Now, according to Dr. Roger Brown, who heads that body, there are some sections of the act that they disagree with, and they are hoping that their views will be taken into consideration. Members are concerned that this amendment could increase the level of insurance fraud, and without the presence of police at minor incidents, those in the insurance industry are concerned that it would be difficult to determine who exactly is at fault. Now, when the bill was passed in the House of Assembly, Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham said that insurance companies have enjoyed an easy ride for over 60 years, as police officers have done their work for them. The amendment, he says, allows more officers on the streets to fight more serious crimes. Well, tomorrow is a big day for Grand Bahama's tourism industry. After months of planning, Vision Air's inaugural flight is expected to touch down at the Grand Bahama International Airport at 2:45 tomorrow afternoon. In addition to reducing cost and travel time to Grand Bahama, the Vision Airline program is scheduled to generate 100,000 available seats with its non-stop service from Baltimore, Maryland, Richmond, Virginia, Raleigh, North Carolina, Louisville, Kentucky, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The Bahamas National Trust is teaming up with a film producer to bring to light the historical points of interest that has resulted in the Bahamas ranking among the top wildlife conservation sites in the world. Megan Shepard gives us a preview.
Director and producer Bo Boudard set out on a mission to expose persons to the conservation efforts of endangered species, fisheries, parks, and wildlife here in the Bahamas. The result, an hour-long documentary aimed to enlighten persons about the rich diversity of wildlife here in the Bahamas and what is being done to preserve it for future generations.
What we really wanted to do is show how many parks were established here in the Bahamas and to tell the whole story of what people are doing to protect the various species, whether they be the West Indian flamingos, the Bahama parrots, all the fisheries, the conch, the lobster, and all the wonderful places where all these species can be found.
The film was shot on several different islands, including Andros, Abaco, Exuma, Inagua, and Cat Island. Boudard says the challenge for him was making sure each island was easily recognizable to viewers. The film will be released on DVD, and the funds will be used to cover costs as well as to help fund programs by the Bahamas National Trust.
The film took almost 3 years to produce. The budget was approximately $150,000. Actually, it was more than that, but as producers go, this was for me really a labor of love.
Executive Director of the Bahamas National Trust, Eric Carey, who is also a cast member, says the film will expose many Bahamians to important historical events that they may not be aware of.
People like Sammy and Jimmy Nixon, Bahamians, working with scientists, that story will be told. The creation of the first land and sea park in the world, the Exuma Keys Land and Sea Park. A lot of people have forgotten, a lot of people just don't know. And so this film will document that and take viewers through a timeline to understand why the Bahamas has a really an enviable record and why we've been successful and why conservation is important.
The film made its debut in the Bahamas at the Flip Festival this past weekend. Megan Shepard, ZNS News.
Whether the public or private sector, unions are common in the workplace today. But in recent times, some serious concerns have surfaced regarding unions, and some say they are no longer effective. That's the question we put to members of the public.
Union leaders have sold the unions in this country out, and as a result of that, many of us don't have confidence in any of them.
From layoffs to downsizing to privatization and outright terminations, many have questioned if unions really have a say in the workplace. The general consensus of most persons we interviewed isn't positive at all. They believe unions throughout the country are losing ground while employees are losing faith.
The people that are coming in union now are not in it for the people. They're in it for what they can get out of the union. You can't put confidence in the union no more.
It appears as if the leadership of the unions, especially Bahamas Public Service Union, would take care of only who they wish to take care of. Everybody on this island knows that my family and I were in a near-fatal accident several years ago. And I did not see any representation from my union.
I was never a member of any union, but just based on what I've seen in the media, I feel as if the unions today are causing a bit of concern for myself and a lot of persons who are charged with managing different companies.
If you probably had asked me this some time ago, I would have been able to say it was very positive in this country. But we have seen what unions have done to this country so far. And today, I just think the unions are a dying breed.
Some residents believe that elected union leaders have forgotten the cause and in some instances have ulterior motives.
I think if the people stop taking money from the employers under the table and be honest and upfront with the people and work for the people rather than trying to say they work for the people and working for management, on the backside, maybe we'll be better off.
Many union leaders use the union as a stepping stone to advance their own political careers at the detriment of their members. And so I can't be a part of some ignorant movement that is not genuinely concerned for its membership.
This former union member believes that the future of the labor movement looks very dim.
Union officials need to sign documents that will truly obligate them to their union membership.
Stay with us, Newsnight 13, back in a moment.